I'm standing in Nassau, Bahamas at Royal Caribbean's newest creation. It's not a ship and not a refresh. This is a brand new beach club built from the ground up. By Royal Caribbean standards, that's a bold move because when they launch something new, expectations are sky high. The marketing is loud and the hype train is already at full speed. The question is whether this is actually a game changer for Nassau or just another polished promise that looks great on Instagram but feels very different in real life. I spent a day here to find out what Royal Beach Club really delivers, what it gets right, and where the cracks start to show once the music fades and the drinks stop flowing. So let's talk about it. If you're ready, I am. Let's go. Getting to Royal Beach Club is simple, but it doesn't work like a typical shore excursion. When we exited the ship in Nassau, we skipped the shore excursion groups entirely and walked past the docks into the main port area. From there, it's easy to spot. We saw the ferries to our left behind a fence, and large Royal Beach Club signage was straight ahead, making it clear where you're supposed to go. At the gate, a staff member checked us in and directed us to the correct ferry line, and this part matters because there are two different ferry routes. One drops guests near Party Cove and Family Beach, and the other goes to Chill Beach. Since we were headed to Chill Beach, we lined up to the left. The line was short, and within a couple minutes, we were boarding the ferry, and it departed shortly after. The ride itself was short, only about 5 minutes before we were stepping off at Royal Beach Club. All in, it took roughly 25 minutes from stepping off the ship to arriving at the beach club, which felt efficient and well organized. Now, one thing you'll want to know for later is on the return trip, the ferries drop you off at the far end of the port, forcing you to walk past the vendors on your way back in, which adds another 10 or 15 minutes on the way back. Royal immerses you in the island vibes from the moment you step off the ferry, and you're greeted by Bahamian dancers and live Caribbean music. There's no second checkpoint to slow things down once you arrive, and it just flows straight into the beach club, which gives the arrival a polished resort-style feel. That smooth start didn't last for us though, as we went to check in for our cabana and had to wait nearly 20 minutes before somebody finally showed up to escort us the rest of the way in. Once we finally got to our cabana, it had the wrong name on the sign, which meant heading back to check in to get the correct cabana number before walking in the totally opposite direction the rest of the way. It wasn't a huge deal, but it did feel like launch day growing pains and a team that was clearly stretched thin. The other thing we noticed right away is the scale. This is a small beach club by Royal standards. It's 17 acres. You can walk from one side to the other in roughly 7 minutes, which is far smaller than Coco Cay, which is more than 120 acres. The upside, though, is that you understand the layout almost immediately, and you're never more than a few minutes walk from anything you're trying to get to. But it also makes it clear that this is a curated beach experience and definitely not a sprawling private island. But once we finally reached the correct cabana, we settled into the tranquility of a space that would be our home for the next 6 hours. We wrestled with a decision about whether we should book a cabana or not for the day, but it ended up being the right decision after seeing how incredibly crowded things were and how hard it was for many people to find seats together in a good spot. There are several different types of cabanas you can choose from, and we chose a pool cabana in the chill beach zone. It cost $1,800 for the day and included entry for up to 8 people, food and drinks, and a dedicated cabana attendant. The setup was excellent. It was positioned right beside a heated pool that we only shared with other pool cabanas and overlooking the rocky shoreline as waves crashed below. Inside, there was a comfortable couch, multiple seats, a cooler stocked with canned water, and 4 loungers built right into the shallow edge of the pool. There was also a giant floating starfish provided with each cabana that my kids played with all day long. In fact, they liked it so much that we considered getting one for back home before realizing it cost $700, so that idea died very quickly. But it was really the service that made all the difference. Our tenant Cordo was fantastic, and since he only had 2 cabanas to manage, the service felt personal and consistent. After walking the property and seeing the rest of the cabana options, we were even happier with our choice. The family beach cabanas lacked privacy as there were rows of loungers between them and their crowded pool filled with kids since it wasn't private like our pool. And Party Cove had the party deck and day beds, but no cabanas at all. Out of sheer curiosity, I checked out the Ultimate Family Cabana that retails for an absurd $10,000 per day. And it was still under construction, but I was able to go inside and check things out. And I gotta say, it's a nice space, but it is without a doubt not worth that much money. And prices like that make you realize how thin the line is between a smart splurge and a total waste of money. And that's why we don't leave our cruise bookings to chance. We always book through Cruises It. They're a travel agency who's on your side from start to finish, and they give you a real person who knows your ship, knows your route, and keeps you from taking a wrong turn before the vacation even begins. They've saved us thousands, unlocked perks we didn't even know existed, and always make sure we don't end up like Frank, who once bragged he found a deal so good it felt illegal. But it wasn't illegal, it was just directly below the nightclub, and Frank now knows every lyric to a collection of 90s hip hop songs he doesn't even like. Frank, if you can Shazam the DJ from your bed, that's not a deal, that's a nightmare you don't wake up from until the cruise is over. With their low price guarantee and real humans who actually know what they're doing, Cruises It makes cruising easier, cheaper, and way less stressful. So click the link in the description below or call the number on the screen and tell them Evan from Family at Sea sent you. You'll be glad you did. Royal Beach Club is divided into three distinct zones, and they each feel very different. Chill Beach, where we spend our day, is easily the best option in my opinion. It's calmer, more relaxed, and it feels like the only area designed for people who actually want to unwind instead of constantly being stimulated. Family Beach sits on the opposite end and centers around a large pool with a large swim-up bar, but it was packed. There were more kids than even my kids wanted to be around, and the noise levels made it hard to relax. And Party Cove is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lively, fun, and good place to visit for an hour or two to dance with a live DJ blasting music and another big swim-up bar, but it's far too loud to be somewhere I'd want to spend the entire day. Crowds, though, were the biggest issue overall. That seemed to be the case in all zones. As you walked around, things felt extremely congested, and we spoke with multiple people who were frustrated because they couldn't find more than a single open chair anywhere. Now, I'll say there were three Royal Caribbean ships in Nassau while we were there, so if there's less, you may get lucky and experience smaller crowds than we did. And one quick tip here, if you walk to the far end of the beach club past the family pool, there's some more open seating you'll find that I discovered later in the day, but a lot of people never seem to find this area as it was too far from the main action. The layout itself really doesn't help either, as it's long and narrow with several choke points where everything funnels together. And while there were ocean views throughout, actual beach access is limited due to the rocky terrain, and strong waves close several sections anyway. Entertainment wise, beyond the DJ and dancing in the Party Cove area, and of course, the pools and beach itself, there was also a roaming band that paraded through the resort at one point during the afternoon that brought a fun Caribbean energy to the experience, in addition to a handful of musicians in quieter spots of the resort. Food at Royal Beach Club is handled through several different dining areas spread across the property. But the important thing to know here is that they all serve the exact same menu. So there's no advantage to hunting down a specific spot. So your best move is to find the shortest line and order there. Now, this isn't gourmet food and it's definitely not trying to be. That said, it was better than what we've had at most large scale beach resorts that are cooking for thousands of people at once, but some items landed better than others. The mushroom barbecue burger was very dry, but our kids were happy with the mac and cheese and chicken tenders, and the fish sandwich was solid. The banana bread was a surprise hit and definitely worth trying. While food is included with the experience, alcoholic beverages are only included if you purchase the all-inclusive option or you're in a cabana. Whether paying a la carte or all-inclusive though, you're never far from a bar with tiki bars scattered throughout the beach club. Now, I'll say there seemed to be some confusion about whether virgin cocktails were included if you didn't get the all inclusive option, as some bartenders thought they were and others said they weren't, but I'm sure that's something they'll clear up pretty quickly with training. Although there were sometimes lines for food and drink, they seem to do a good job of keeping things moving. Now, if you wanted service at your seat, you're going to have to get lucky and flag somebody down when they're passing through your area, and that seemed pretty hit or miss. After spending a full day here, it became clear that Royal Beach Club isn't difficult to enjoy, but a few small choices have an outsized impact on how your day actually feels, and knowing how things really play out makes all the difference. The next time I'm there, if I don't have a cabana, I'll be sure to rush off the ship the moment it docks because the best seating areas fill quickly, and once they're gone, you're either hovering around a single open chair or pushed to the far edges of the resort away from where most of the action and amenities are. I'll also be sure to bring cash for tips. I ended up sending a tip to our cabana attendant via PayPal, but there's no ATMs at the resort, and since everything is prepaid, there's no checks to sign and no easy way to add gratuity later. So having cash is essential to showing your appreciation for great service. And if you plan on getting in the water, remember this is an unprotected beach. There's no calm lagoons, and depending on the day, waves can be strong enough to limit swimming in the ocean altogether. And finally, I'd go in with the right mindset. Even in Chill Beach, the resort's compact size means crowds and background noise are just part of the experience. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something you should expect and not be surprised by. Royal Caribbean has one of the best marketing machines in the industry, and most of the time the hype is earned as their ships push boundaries and Coco Cay genuinely changed what a private destination could be. But Royal Beach Club doesn't quite hit that same mark. We enjoyed our day, but there's nothing here that feels truly standout or irreplaceable. For the price, you can find very similar beach club experiences all over the Caribbean for less than half of what you'll pay at Royal Beach Club, and most of those come with fewer crowds and you don't need to take a ferry to get there. This just doesn't feel like a must-do in the way Royal's best products usually are. That said, in a port like Nassau where a lot of people choose to stay on board, it's nice to have another reason to get off the ship. But this isn't something I'll be racing back to again. And the reality is this. Royal Beach Club isn't the only thing that feels overpriced in cruising these days. But the good news is you don't have to pay full price for your cruises or your excursions if you know where to look. So don't stop here. Come hang out with me in my next video where I show you the exact strategies I've used to save thousands on every cruise. I'll see you there. If you're ready, I am. Let's go.